Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friends Viivika Kalma and David Maria. Hi, guys.
Hi, Kathy.
Good morning. So I am so excited to talk about your new offering, Remembering Union, because it is so important for these times. It's really the thing that'll help us all be able to remember the love that we are and live from that aspect. And long time coming, as far as I can see, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So, how should we start this? Should we explain, David or Viivika? Which one of you would like to explain the journey to this
Both of us.
Oh, okay. So I'll ask you both. Could you please explain Remembering Union, and I'll get off screen for a moment. Okay?
Okay. So in order to really properly speak to this, we need to go back just a little bit. So most of you that know me know that in 2018, in December, I was called through dreams to travel to Kenya, to Mount Kenya. And I won't go into the whole story. We don't have time for that today. But in essence, what happened is that I received this phenomenal awakening initiation that was literally lightning bolts coming down through my crown into my body in quick succession.
Yeah, at the same time when David gets his initiation in Africa, I had a similar experience. So I lived then in Finland, and same time when David gets his initiation, I had a full body Kundalini energy awakening. So in the middle of the night, I just woke up and I felt this extremely strong energy that started rising from the bottom of my spine, and it's opened up every energy center in my body, and after that I start to receive every night different downloads and activations and messages, and after that experience, I just unconditionally. It wasn't. I didn't know what I'm looking for, but I tried to find something, and I start to look for something, and now I know what I tried to find, because our connection with David was more opened, and I tried to find him.
And while she was having all of those experiences, when I was in Kenya, then I received the first transmission that became the Eden template, became the foundational class of what the Eden template brings. And then I returned home and sat in my living room for 3 months staring out the window, so much that some people that know me thought that I had had a psychotic break, but it was just integrating. And eventually, and I'll let you share how you found me, Viivika, rather than my telling it.
Okay. And as I told, I started looking for something. I didn't know what I tried to find, and one day I saw one of David's interviews in YouTube, and when I heard this time his voice, I felt such a deep longing and tenderness, love in my higher heart. It was like a burst of love, and I start to cry. I in this moment I didn't know what it is because I never felt something like that. It was totally new. And then of course, I took David class because I wanted to know more what it is, and I wanted to know who he is. And after that, when I first time were in his class, I felt this deep heart connection with him. And after first class, every time it just was stronger and stronger and stronger. And I realized that this is the same transmission that's coming through David. I received exactly same time, the same transmission. And I started to communicate with David. I sent messages to him and told about that. And told about that also, that I feel what I feel. And I didn't know how much he remembered, because my higher self started to give me some puzzle pieces, who we are, and what this connection is all about. So I very gently started to tell him also, or ask for me, that does it feel something like that? And he said that he felt it too.
So the very first class that she came to, it was a Zoom class, and if you've done them, you know, everybody appears in these tiny little windows. I could barely see her. The window was so small. I could see her name, but I didn't know who she was. And yet I knew instantly that I loved her, and that I loved her in a way that I've never felt in love in the heart ever before. And as she began to write to me and tell me that she was feeling the transmission coming through her at the same time that it was coming through me, then we began to communicate and talk about it. And we scheduled a Zoom meeting to where we could talk about it. And it became really clear to both of us immediately that there's a singular transmission that is coming through, and she's not receiving it any differently than I am. It comes through me in words. It comes through her as light language. But the singular transmission was coming through both of us at the exact, and I do mean the exact, same moment in every nuance of it. And so we began to practice. And another way to say that is we began to play, just to see what that would be like. And I discovered in very short order how easy it is to begin a stream of consciousness, just to begin to talk. And I would talk for a little bit and then pause, and she would use light language to convey what it was that my words were speaking. And as we gradually did that, first off, we became really, really better at it. We became very good at doing that. But the more that we did it, the more that we began to understand this is really unusual. And that's when the information really came through like lightning bolts for both of us. We're not different from each other. We are the same soul. She is me and I am her. There is no difference. There's absolutely no separation between us at all, ever. And I don't know about any of you listening, but it completely knocked my socks off. I did not expect this. I did not have any clue that this was who we were. And so now we really began to play, just to see what is here. And from my perspective, our souls are like kamikaze pilots. We all come here with some kind of mission. Doesn't matter how big or small that is, it doesn't matter. We come here with something that we have already agreed that we are going to do. And I know people speak about soul friends and soul mates and soul groups and soul families and oversouls, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not who we are. Our experience of who we are is that we were created, and almost at the same moment and almost immediately we went like this into incarnation. And she went one way and I went another way into the adventure of creation and learning. And throughout all of the infinite number of incarnations that both of us have gone through, this is the very first time that both of us have been together on the same planet, in the same timeline. And it was inevitable that we were going to meet. Our energetic experiences have mirrored each other for years. I'm talking too much. Viivika, if you'd like to share.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, we are really, they're like divine mirrors for each other. And what I feel, he also feels. So our connection is getting stronger and stronger all the time, and it's quite telepathic already, because when he sent me a message, I feel that it's the same moment, and David feels that also. So we don't need to use Zoom very soon.
No. And here's where it begins to become, shall we say, challenging or creative. I live in Mount Shasta. She lives in the south of Spain, near the Mediterranean. She has a family that she loves. She has children. And like I mentioned earlier about our souls being kamikaze pilots, none of that seems to matter. Because what happens between us when we're together, when we focus on anything, like right now, the two of us are focusing on this interview together. If one of us texts the other and says, let's meditate, and we sit down and we meditate together, what begins to happen is that when we do that, it begins to create a field of unity that is from the Creator, that is from Source. That's the only way that it can be described. And the more that and I love the word play, the more that we played and felt that field, because it's palpable. Others can feel it, including us, of course. The more that we play, the more that we knew we need to work together. We need to share classes together with each other. That's why behind her name, behind both of our names, it says the Eden Template. That's who we are. That's literally who we are. And that's what this class coming up is. It's because every time that we do something together and we bring our full attention to it, this field is generated.
Well, I want to share that I've been in the classes and the non-public, but the private classes with both of your energy. And I've taken all of the Freedom from the Known classes with David, and we've even done 2 series of weekend workshops here. So I was shocked how much stronger this was with Viivika adding her energy to it. I was very surprised at the depth of the love access that I felt afterwards and continue to feel. And this is like something very different, because we say that the soul or consciousness split into all these souls because it wanted to experience, but we've named them, twin flames, or we've named them all these names to try to understand the phenomenon. But and I do think I'm soul family with you, David, which I guess I'm soul family with you, Viivika.
Of course you are.
But I'm not the same soul. I may be I don't know, if a fractal of a prismatic aspect of the soul projects itself, then I'm part of that projection. But you're saying you guys are the same crystal, the same template.
We're not saying we're the same.
You are.
We are.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to wrap my head around, and hopefully the audience has the same weird questions.
Good luck with that. I wish you well with that.
Oh, you don't think so? Okay.
No, I'm just teasing.
You tease me all the time. I'm going to cry now. Okay. Well, the aspects of all of this means the idea of oneness gets closer and closer to reality, when you may realize that in this world there may be people that are embodying this same aspect of the divine at the same time you are. And that would maybe create more kindness, more love, more appreciation for the other, for our I think we're in this transition from war to peace, from competitiveness to collaboration. And maybe there may be you guys announcing your epiphany of the fact that you are the same soul, that you have the same capacity to communicate and to experience, is going to happen and pop up in lots of places. Do you have a feeling for that?
A lot of what is happening now is that historically, when a soul crosses, if it hasn't remembered who it is, if you don't remember who you are, it's possible. It doesn't always happen. It's not a certainty that it will happen, but it's possible that soul will literally bifurcate, and it will become 2 souls, and maybe more. And so a lot of the journeying is to retrieve those soul fragments and bring them back into wholeness inside of us. At the same time, some souls make an agreement with each other before they're born that they're going to be, shall we say, like a twin. And they're doing that so that when they finally do meet each other, they recognize each other, and they become vehicles to each one to learn how to love themselves unconditionally, because each one functions as a mirror. That's none of those are who Viivika and I are. I have a lot of awareness of souls and what happens with souls and how they go on their journeys. I'm struck dumb here. I have no information. The only thing that I know is that we were created at the exact same moment. And that always begs the question, with every being in this phenomenally wonderful universe that we live in, who is it that brings souls into creation? How does that happen? How does that come about? And the only answer that ever comes to me is that it's always Source, it's always the Creator, it's always God. Almost every single tradition on the planet has a different cosmological explanation for how that happens. I don't have any knowingness for her and I'm very seldom at a loss for words, as most of you that know me know. I'm quite frequently at a loss for words in her presence. Even though I know it's me, I'm still at a loss for words in her presence, because the love that flows through us as us is so immense.
Yeah, and
It strikes me dumb.
Sorry, I disrupt you. Yeah, and there's huge difference between human love and between this divine love, because human love always has conditions. It always limited, but we are this unconditional love. This is constant expansion. It's limitless expansion. And what we literally do right now with David is we discover more and more about themselves as love. So it's like David said, it's really beautiful play at the same time. And at the same time, we discover more and more about ourselves. And at the same time, when we share, even word share is not correct. When we are in each other presence, we just are this love. And then in a certain moment, we're so aligned with each other that this created this immense field of divine love or unity consciousness.
And those of you that know me know that I have been speaking for a long time and sharing for, it seems, forever, that we are also here to embody our soul into the physical body, into this vessel. That another way of saying that is ascension through embodiment, by cleansing and purifying the body vehicle so much that our soul can actually come into it. So I have a slightly different perspective than Viivika might have, because for me it's very human. Because that's for me, that's why we're here, is to be able to co-create from that space with everybody. And that is done through bringing it into the human, so that there is ostensibly there is no difference between the human self and the high self. There's this unified alignment that's there. Sometimes it's challenging, as everybody out there knows. If you're in a body, you've been challenged.
Yeah, I meant that just that human love, when we even within family, when we have family, this, we call them, this is my children, this is my husband or my wife. There's also, this attachment, but this divine love, it's totally free.
And
Free from attachment.
it does not allow any possessiveness of any kind. It is free. It is totally free.
Mm.
And that's a deep lesson that's ongoing.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Viivika, because I know my experience with you has been doing light language, and so in 2018, did you start doing light language from then on, and your connection to source, you had an experience, you had a spiritually transformative experience.
Yeah.
And then is that when you started bringing in this beautiful light?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then how has that changed now that you are connected with David?
Mm. Because, like I said, unconscious knowingness that I need to find somebody, or this, I started to look for something, for somebody, because this heart connection gets stronger when we went through this initiation at the same time. So I didn't know clear vision about that, what I tried to find, but I started looking for. Yeah. So,
And in hindsight, it's not like all of the sillier information that's out on the internet about twin flames always looking for their other half to complete themselves.
no, it's not that.
It was not that. It was not.
No, it was just this knowingness why we are here and that we need to meet with each other. And this knowingness.
So right, the experience that I've had two of with you, David speaking in a meditation, then Viivika using light language, the portal that it opened was profound. It was very nurturing and very supportive for people going through changes at this time. We're all being shown our triggers and our obstacles to being loved right now. Well, the contrast is definitely available in any aspect that you'd like. It's available. So do you feel that this remembering union aspect is timed for humanity at this time, that there's a bigger gift in it for all of us?
Well, the simple answer is yes, of course. I mean, things are what they are. I wouldn't have conceived this class 6 months ago. I wouldn't have conceived this class 6 weeks ago. It's only because of the realization inside of us that we are the same being, that we are the same soul. And what happens, this is how the class came about, is through us remembering also.
Mm.
So what was that like? I mean, you say you felt a love, David, and Viivika, you said you felt an urge to search.
Mhm.
And I had that urge too. I knew I was wanting to hold more light, and I knew that I needed a faster path to doing that. That's what I knew for me. But Viivika, for you, if you were already doing work and using the light language in your daily life, did this change how you use it, or give you more courage to use it, or did it change the power of what you do?
Yeah, when we met, we both opened up much more because we had codes to each other also. So, and my light language also changed a lot because I opened up more, and this connection also with Divine Mother. It's more, I don't know how to say in English. It's opened up more. I changed a lot, and David, you can you can tell how you feel, but for me it's this acceleration of this embodiment who we are also. So
I personally, Kathy, hardly recognize myself anymore. In the private class that's been ongoing with the recent Freedom Course, everybody in there knows it. They even without saying anything, everybody knew something really wonderful has happened because I'm totally different. As she opens more, as I mirror to her the love that I hold for her, she opens. And the moment that she does that, I also open. And it's this reciprocal flow, continuous flow that is constantly opening both of us more and more and more and more.
yeah, and sometimes triggering also, but then we just hold this space to each other. And talking about that, and it's really beautiful.
Well,
So awesome.
And
the other thing,
one more question, one more thing, Kathy.
okay,
We're both extremely fortunate in that each of us by ourselves we know that we are responsible for our own stuff.
good.
I don't project my stuff onto her. She doesn't project her stuff onto me. We may trigger each other, but I can't take whatever it was that came from her as a trigger, and vice versa with me. That doesn't work. But we're both really strong independently in a foundation that we're both used to doing our own work, and we're committed to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't project it onto each other. I don't have a trigger and then I project something onto her, whatever it might be.
That's good.
I just sit with myself. She sits with herself. We may talk about it if we're together.
Yeah, and we hold this space also to each other.
Mm.
We're talking about
That's beautiful.
this compassion and love, and this.
Well, what I was going to say is that when you were here in October, I could tell that you were waiting for something. It was almost like we'd say, I'd ask you a question, and you were kind of, when we were talking about your next classes and everything, David, it felt like you had some anticipation of either another download or another maybe another activation that you would get that was part of your Kenyan experience. It seemed as though you were waiting. So now we know what you were waiting for. Yeah. So
and to be honest, like a lot of men in the world, I was clueless.
I hope many people heard that. Anyway,
I freely admit it, everyone. I was completely clueless. I knew unequivocally that I loved her. I had no idea what was coming.
So the next thing I'd like you to talk about, and then I hope we get to have an experience a little bit.
Yes.
Is about the joy of this, because I think that part of the recipe for changing the consciousness and the global consciousness is the return back to joy. And when we say love, love has all these other human aspects of it, and it may trigger people. Love, God, some of these words have lots of meanings to them, but joy and bliss and kindness and all of these words that come through to allow yourself to enjoy the ride, rather than be afraid of the ride. Trust this new era we're going into. Could you talk a little bit about your experience to joy, or some aspect of that?
Yeah, what I feel, or we feel, that this joy and bliss and kindness, there are just different expressions of this divine love. Because we playing very joyfully with David. we laughing a lot, and we sometimes our inner children very active, and it's really fun. We having fun, and this is also expressing of this love that we feel.
It's absolutely true. Those of you that know me and have known me for a while know that I am more in joy and bliss than I have ever been. And that's because with her and I, we mirror that back and forth to each other constantly. Even being here with you, Kathy, there is this exchange that is going on constantly between her and myself. That's just the nature of who we are. And a lot of that energy is exuberant joy. It's not a stoic love. It's not a serious love.
No.
Divine love is extremely playful.
Yes, it is. It's very creative and playful and joyful, and it's bliss also. And there is lots of different levels, layers that right now opened up, and we even couldn't describe that what it is, but it's so amazing. So yeah, we're still discovering that.
Well, the reason I was asking, because it seems that there's in the past, people on the path to awakening have had ascension flu, or they've had trouble assimilating their new awareness. Just like David went to Africa and it took him months to integrate all the energy that he was gifted, or he allowed to come in. So that's why I wanted to emphasize that it doesn't have to be hard It doesn't have, it can be joyful. It can be creative, really creative. What I've found by doing the freedom from the known is a whole aspect of can do. And I was already a doer, but I'm always doing cool stuff and creating stuff and welcome change rather than have fear of it. So that's why I wanted people to know that this work can really set you free on a whole different a way that you may not have even anticipated.
Being free is probably the single most important thing that any of us can do. And that means being free from ourselves too.
Of course.
You know, most people drag their past around behind them like a ball and chain. Or a lot of the people in the world do. That their past means everything. And it brings to mind the silly thing that I used to say. I don't say this anymore, but I used to use the Old Testament example of Jehovah telling Lot and his wife to leave the city because it was going to be destroyed, and said, don't turn around, don't look back, because if you look back, that'll mean that you have a fondness for whatever that was, and you'll turn into a pillar of salt. So I used to joke and say, well, you know, one can always use a little salt. And that was only because there were still parts of me that, from my past, that I still had a particular fondness for, a particular attachment to, or just liked whatever it was. And then I met you and I's dear friend Kevin Boland, and Kevin told me that when he jumped off the cliff the first time, he never once, not once, looked back. And now I have that. Now I don't look back. It's only this moment. It's only being present in this moment. And currently, almost every single one of those moments is involved in loving her. But it's loving her unconditionally. She is completely free to be whoever she is. We're one soul, so we don't really have a choice about whether or not we're going to be together or not. We're together all the time. That's who we are. And yet she lives in Spain and she has a family. I honor her family because there's love there. And love is always the most precious thing, that is the most precious gift that we share with each other. I'm not sure if I addressed your question. I think I just started to roam and babble on you, Kathy.
And love is also, very often we label this love, what it is, but love is the very essence what we are. It includes everything. And we told about this joy and this extreme happiness, and beyond of that, it's this infinite expansion, infinite layers, levels of this love, who we are.
And it's not about obligations or responsibilities. It can include those, but that's not what it is. It's unconditional.
Mm.
Years ago, on my very first trip to Kenya, I was in one of the Maasai markets in downtown Nairobi. And I was going through this really big market, and a woman came up to me with a young child with a baby and asked me for money. And I did not understand Kenyan money at all, not in the slightest. I had just paid $120 for a painting, an oil painting worth no more than $5. and the person actually wanted 200, and I talked him down to 140. So I didn't understand it. So anytime any of the kids came up to me, anytime I got change, I gave it to Owen, the driver that was driving us around, and he would give them the change to them. And so he did this with this woman. She kept following me around and kept asking for more money, kept telling me, you have to give me more. You haven't even given me enough to feed my child. You have to give me more. And it became, to me, very annoying because I'd already given her as far as I was concerned. And I pushed her away. And that night, my team, my guides came to me and they said, no, never again. Said, this is not whether or not you wanted to give that woman any money or not. You're free to do what as you wish, as you feel guided in the moment. But the way that you sent her away was you closed your heart to her. And now you can never close your heart to anybody for any reason ever again. So that's, for me, that's the very essence of that's the very essence of what this flow between Viivika and myself is that it can't be closed, it can't be shut down, it can't be controlled, it can't be turned into something else, it can't be anything. It has to remain free the way that it is. It has to remain to allow its own purity to be able to come through. And neither of us has the ability, nor the willingness, nor the desire to interrupt or change that flow at all. Viivika may have something else to share.
Yes.
I don't know.
Do you have something to say, Viivika?
No, at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I totally agree.
Well,
What games David is always resonates with my heart, as you know. So.
Well, I'm curious, Viivika, because you, as a mom and a wife and running life, how this has changed how you live in your world. A lot of people that have spiritually transformative experiences, it actually affects their relationships with their core relatives or their friendships. Have you had any change? I know you're feeling more love and you're radiating more love and you're able to tap into a lot of your higher knowing, but has that made it easier with your kids or with the family?
They are very supportive. They're really supportive. And
Okay.
they know also about David and about who we are. And I told openly about that. And they are really supportive. And when I start to I start to open up, my English is what it is.
It's great. It's great.
When I start to open up, it has a big effect also to my family, of course. And sometimes it's triggered, sometimes, but most positive effect, of course. And we can't change other people, but we can be this love, and it's really transforms also, help transform others, but they do that themselves, not we. So.
Being in that higher frequency, if that was easy to do, still do the laundry and make dinner, or or if it was harder, that's all.
It's very grounding. It's really grounding, and I need that a lot.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Working with matches, and we're talking and playing with David hours every day. So sometimes I really need that. Yeah.
So David, how has getting your codes from Viivika changed your perspective?
You're hearing me talk more about love than anyone has ever heard me speak. If you've attended any of the classes that I've offered, whether they're free classes or not, most people understand that I have a really, really large heart, and that I love people. I love everybody, and I dearly love to share. You know that I don't really like the moniker of a teacher, but I do really love sharing. And that's always through my heart. And I've always felt that a lot of heart comes through in the classes that I have offered and shared. Viivika is more solidly Divine Mother and way more just naturally on her own connected to her heart. I'm more like an explorer scientist at one level, if you will. I love to know how the cosmos works and things on that order. Those are my really big geeky, if you will, areas of interest. But since beginning to work with her, since beginning to share with her, and especially since beginning to play with her, I'm a lot lighter. I'm a whole lot lighter. I mean, even though I still would love to shed some more pounds, I'm an immense amount lighter. I carry less weight around my heart, and I'm way more open. I'm so much more open than I used to be, and I'm incredibly free. I'm much freer than I was, and I could, if I wished, I could say that it's because of her, and yet it's not. It's not. It's because of who we are as a single one soul. She is my mirror. She reflects back to me constantly. She's always showing me some place that I could love myself more.
Oh, beautiful. So we are coming, we've got about 10 minutes at the most left. Do we want to give everyone an example or a little experience so that they'll get a taster to want to go to the Remembering Union, a journey into unity consciousness class that's coming up on March 3rd. So with that, I'm getting off.
What do you think, Viivika? Do we want to do that?
Of course, we want to. It's such a joy to share with you.
Okay, so wherever you are, make yourself comfortable. Just kind of align yourself. Just begin to come into your body. Just become present. Become aware of your body. And however you choose to do it, because it's slightly different for all of us, begin to ground yourself at your root. Remembering that men and women ground in different places in the body.
Mikiki wata sasana ketuno kumeki awas na yamata ketuno kumaki hana ketana. Shishi wasa sasana ketukumi ite tukuna kumukusu suniki mawata tana ketuno kumeki wash.
And as you fully come into your body, send a beam of light from your root down into the center of the earth and connect it to the heart of Gaia. And then bring another root, another beam back from the heart of Gaia and connect it to your root. So you're fully grounded in your body and connected to the earth.
Miki asasana kututumiki wana katatakaya mahatana kasana anahata kukumiki washishiwa. Namakete kuno kutumo ki hihi wata ene kutu susuni ki wata takemeki wata taneku washishi.
You may begin to feel the energy field that is forming around Viivika and myself.
Miki tutu miki washishi sasana kutukumeki tukumi washi sasa takuno kumiki tiwa takiheta nekatuno kumeko wata.
You might even experience it as this large column of clear, translucent light that is coming down around each and every one of you, surrounding you.
Miki tukuima kata sasa kyotuno kitukume kata kutumiki wata takeneke wata sa. Hasa sokotuno kutumiki hawase nekotukini wata te nakamakasawa.
This light is not of the I Am Presence. This light is the I Am Presence.
Miki kumiki hata kete kono kumiki hasasa. Kiki mikhiti kituno kutume aten ereta tutti mahayas.
This light is the very essence of divine love. Infinite divine love. There is no end to the depth of it, and it is you.
Mihit kuturut kataneke hat ataratasa sonokurme esawatake. Hikimiku entanakat anahat ama at asawataneke washa.
And there is nothing that you need do to receive this light. There's nothing that you need to search for. This light from source, this pure, pure, pure divine love. It's who you are. Not only who you are, it's who you've always been.
Miotake tänake kussusumiki tunuk mehat katake uatanake heta. Hituni kimiki asasawatake neke tumikasha wasasa. Hina ketene kutumiki hatane kana hatake neke.
And if it means anything, it means that you are and have always been connected directly with Source. There has never been even a single millisecond that you've ever been disconnected from our Creator.
Mikitene ketun naina katakutume etätekutame kisasua kenaki watasasava. Kimiki watana ketunu kumakususu miki watana ke kunuku etana kawa.
That was beautiful. That was really beautiful. Thank you.
And please remember, this is not about personalities. This is not about David. This is not about Viivika. This is not about Kathy. At this level, it just is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What a gift. So if you felt this and you are curious, if you're getting the inkling that you would like to discover this at a higher level, David and Viivika are doing an event on March 3rd called Remembering Union, a journey into unity consciousness, which you just got a small taste of. And if you go to the edentemplate.com/events site page, you'll be able to find it and sign up. Is there anything else that you want to say, David, about that?
We look forward to sharing with you.
Yeah.
Immensely, we look forward to sharing with
you. Wow. This is beautiful. Thank you both. Thank you, Viivika, that each time I get an experience, I really, really feel it. So thank you both so much. And what a great example of what we can become. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, bye, guys. We'll do this again.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Always. My pleasure.
And our pleasure too. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we look forward to you joining with us on Sunday.
Yes.
Love and blessings to all of you.
Yes.